All right. I know that we had already kind of started this, but I wanted to go over some things with this. So first of all, just a reminder, this is your y-axis. I'm going to write it on there because it's easier if you do. So I remember it by extending this and like, what? There's the y. And then this is the x where that's a terrible x. I pretend the x is walking across because this is where I look for my x data down at the bottom here. Okay, so with that in mind, let's look at these data points. I want to remind you that what is the slope, which is, remember, slope is your change in y over change in x. So literally, what is the y over x? And we decided that it's the change in CO2 levels per year. So make sure you have that highlighted. Okay. And then you were supposed to pick 2 points here. And, oh, wait, did we already do this? Yeah, so I'm just going to review this. X1 is right here, right? X1, Y1. Your X1 is 2017. That's what we put. And then your Y1 is 405. Okay, that's our point number one. Point number two, our X2 is 2019. And our Y2, our second option, is 410. So we put that there. Awesome. So now we just plug and chug here. And you are going to have to do this on today's activity. So once you have your 2 points, literally just stick with that. Okay. So my Y2 is going to go right here. That's what it says. So I go over here. Y2 is 410. My Y1 is 405. My X2, 2019. And then my X1 is 2017. So you pop that in. We do that math, 410 minus 405. That's going to be 5. And then 2019 minus 2017 is 2 years. Okay. Let me erase these guys. You're blocking my answers, bud. There we go. All right. So that ends up being, if I do 5 divided by 2, so I subtract first, subtract them, those are the numbers, and then I divide them, 5 divided by 2, I'm going to get 2.5. Now, you might be like, okay, well, what's the units? Well, up here are my y's, and the y's are CO2 levels, so I can actually write that in here. CO2 levels. And then my 2019 minus 2017, those are the years, so I'm going to put year. All right. And literally, you can snatch those words, boop, 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 and put that as your unit. It's easy as that. All right. So I would write 2.5 CO2 levels per year. Okay, that's how much it changes by. And I literally just snatch it from here, pop it in there. Okay, I'm going to erase that. Boop, 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 boop. Boom. Got it. The next question, how much has your CO2 levels changed? And you're going to use the answer that you found because that's why we find slope. We find slope to kind of sum up our data and make sure we're like giving the averages of all the data of like, all right, this is what this means. Okay. So how much has CO2 levels changed? Well, 2.5. The only answer that has 2.5 is this guy, levels per year. And it is increasing. Look at this line. It's going up as time goes by. So it's increased 2.5 per year. So I'm going to highlight that. That's my answer. So once you have this all filled out, we did most of it together, you're going to submit it. So go ahead and submit it. There's that. And then we're going to move on to our next activity. So you're going to go to Schoology, go to our class, Foundations of Science, Science Basics, and I'm going to pull this up to the top. Today, kind of like the final thing about graphing, so this is our last day doing graphing, is doing Heart Rate Lab Part 2 with data. Okay, so here's the thing. You need to go get your Heart Rate Lab Part 1, and that should be in your Schoology account. You just go to Heart Rate Lab Part 1. So if I go back here, Heart Rate Lab Part 1, it's right there. You submitted it, hopefully. If not, you might be failing. You might need to do that. All right, but anyway, so you're going to grab your data and look at day 1, we did belly breathing. What was my heart rate change? How much did it change by? Okay. Day 2, how much did it change by? Listening to waitlist, how much did it change by? Visualization, how much did it change by? Okay. And then you're going to open this up and you're going to take your, I already told you column A is this. It's what we're changing. And then your heart rate is column B. So you make a copy of this and it will look like this. And you're literally just going to transfer your numbers from here into column B. Okay, and the cool thing about this, as you put your numbers in, so let's say belly breathing, it went down by 2. Breathing bubble, it increased by 5. It was stressful, I don't know. Light listening to waitlist increased by or decreased by 1, and then visualization 3. So it'll fill in your graph while you do it, okay? And remember, and if you guys have these numbers, I'm going to be angry because these are made up numbers. So use your data. Everyone's graph should look a little bit different. You're going to do Control Shift and then the little box up at the top with the 2 lines so that you can grab this, copy it, and paste it in here where it says, okay? Your independent variable, I just want to remind you that your independent variable is going to be what we change every day. So you're going to write down what we changed every day as your independent variable. Your dependent variable is what we measured to see if the mindfulness activity worked. And then you're going to tell me what type of graph, which you already saw, and why we might use that. The why is going to be big here. If you don't explain why we're using the bar graph that shows up, which, hint, hint, look in your notes, okay? It'll give you the answer. You paste your finished graph here, and then it says, what day were you most stressed walking into class? Can you remember why? And you can look at your first data, and you can look at which one increased your heart rate or which one was your heart rate higher than normal, and then tell me if you remember why. Did you have a test? Did you fight with your parents before you came to school? What's the deal there? All right, and then which mindfulness practice worked best for you? Describe the data you used to come into this conclusion. Okay, so what tells you that mindful practice worked best? List the senses you engaged through the particular mindful practice. Remember, you have sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. So which ones did you focus on? Are there any other practices that you know of that help calm you down when you are stressed? And then you have down here, which I will go over with you when we're in class. So get this first part done, and then we'll talk about this bottom part, which has to do with slope. All right, have a good one.